Hello and thanks for joining us. This is AV-ATIAN Presents. I'm Tim Rivard, and today we have a special guest in the studio, Lieutenant Colonel Ron Moore of the 191st Fighter Interceptor Group. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit about the 191st?
The 191st Fighter Group is one of the two F-16 units based at Selfridge. We've been flying fighters since for 50 years, actually. It started with a P-47, P-51, F-84, F-86, 89, the F-101, 106, the F-4, and of course now the F-16. The unit's going to have a change in mission we can talk about in a little bit. The F-16, we've had it for 3 years. We fly the ADF version, which is basically an interceptor version. Our mission being continental defense of the United States and North and South America. It's been adapted and has some capabilities that other F-16s don't have. One of the primary capabilities is to shoot an AIM-7 radar-guided missile, a long-range missile. It's quite an airplane. It's a lot of fun to fly. Very challenging.
How many F-16s does the unit operate?
We have started out with 21 F-16s. Now we're down to 9, and soon we're going to trade in all our F-16s for C-130s.
How did the pilots feel about the changeover?
We have very mixed emotions about it. On one hand, after 50 years of the unit flying fighters, and those of us who have been fighter pilots all our lives, it's a hard change. The other difficult part is that we'll lose 95 jobs in the 191st, full-time jobs, and that's obviously very difficult. But with the Department of Defense drawdowns, unfortunately that's the reality of life if you work for the Department of Defense right now. Right. Jobs will become fewer. On the other hand, we're going to the C-130 and a tactical airlift mission. That's a very viable mission. We look forward to that. It's a very challenging mission. Obviously, that'll get us all over the world and doing very important things both for peacetime and in time of conflict. So we're really looking forward to the mission change.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? You know, where did you get started? How did you get interested in flying?
I'm from Michigan. I was born in Big Rapids, grew up in Capac and Lapeer, graduated from high school in Lapeer. I was drafted during the Vietnam era and joined the Navy rather than go to the Army at the time. When I was in the Navy, I started flying light airplanes. I'd always wanted to do that. I got out of the Navy and went to college. I finished college in 2 years, got my bachelor's degree, and then went back to the Air Force after that. There were very few flying jobs at the time. I started out as a navigator, flying in the back seat of F-4s as a weapons system officer. And after a few years of doing that, was fortunate enough to get selected to go to pilot training. Went through 15 months of pilot training, flew the F-4 in the front seat, and then converted to the F-16 very early in the F-16 days in 1981. Since then, I was in Germany for 7 years after that, and then I got out of the active duty Air Force and came to the Guard in 1988, where I flew F-4s for 18 months again and then back to the F-16 again.
I understand you were a F-16 instructor pilot.
Yes, I've been around the F-16 a long time. So.
Okay, can we cut a second?
Sure.
So it's probably safe to say your favorite aircraft is the F-16.
Yeah. That's quite an airplane. I've flown, everyone's from the first one built, the F-16, they called it the F-16A model, Block 1, and then there was the Block 5, and then the Block 10, and the Block 15, and then I flew the Block 25, which is a C model, and the Block 30 and 32. The 127th, the other F-16 unit at Selfridge, is in a conversion now from the F-16A model to the F-16C, and that's my favorite airplane. That has more thrust, is tremendously responsive. It's hundreds of thousands of horsepower. It's quite a rocket. And the airplane's very smart, incredibly smart, technologically advanced airplane. A lot of fun to fly and very, very good at what it does.
Now they also employ a two-seat version, and that's a B in the D model, correct?
Right. Yeah, we use those for very limited training requirements, primary thing that we have, of course, is we have flight surgeons, our doctors that know our special needs and take care of us, and they fly in the back seat of the B or the D model.
If you're going out of town, or?
No, they fly, our flight surgeons normally fly local missions with us. They like to go out and see exactly what we put ourselves through and the degree of physical and mental concentration and how demanding that is.
Right.
And that gives them a better feel for how to take care of us mentally, or physically, excuse me, and what our medical demands will be.
Okay, I know a lot of the times you'll read articles in the paper, and Selfridge doesn't always get favorable press. What are your comments on the way the media treats Selfridge and the fire groups over there?
By and large, the media is good. Unfortunately, one of the hard parts to understand, I guess, for the media, and one of the things I've seen most common is if we have a mishap of some sort, 15 minutes later, you know, the local news is wanting to know why it happened. And it takes a long time to figure out why it happened. There's two different accident boards. One is called a safety board, and those fellows are professionally trained investigators who will come in and determine why that accident happened, but they use unreleasable information to gather their data and to investigate the accident. So things that they do, if, for example, you were involved in a mishap, one of the things a safety board is able to do is tell you right up front that you can tell us what happened, we won't tell anyone else. So you'll never be held liable for this. That helps us find out no fooling why we think the accident happened and take preventive actions. So that information is usually pretty close hold because we need to be able to make that guarantee to our witnesses. On the other hand, there's another accident board that goes on simultaneously, and that one is called the accident board as opposed to a mishap investigation board. The accident board is actually a legal proceeding, and if you go there, you'll take a lawyer and testify in the whole thing. I think the bottom line of this whole thing is it's a long, in-depth investigation in both cases, and it takes almost 6 months for the information to finally get made public. Sometimes we're not willing to wait to find out why that airplane went down, so sometimes that's difficult. Other than that, the press is really good to us. We enjoy our relationship with the press and understand they have a job to do, and we do, and we'd like to help them do their job better.
Great. Once in a while, the subject of joint use, that's a pretty hot topic, you know, for Macomb County. How do you feel about joint use and, you know, the Selfridge community as a whole?
Well, you know, it's not really a decision for Selfridge or Selfridge. We're a portion of the Department of Defense, and we work for the Governor of State of Michigan as the Air National Guard, as the host unit of the Air National Guard at Selfridge. It's really up to the local communities. You know, do they want Selfridge to be joint use? What's best for the community? What's best for the local community? That's what's going to be best for us, and for us at Selfridge. We have got good facilities. We're a very busy airfield, but again, it's what's best for the whole community at large. And right now, it appears that the surrounding community isn't interested in joint use for whatever reasons. And if that's how they feel, then obviously we're going to reflect that opinion.
I know occasionally, probably more than occasionally, the base gets noise complaints. I know if it did become a joint use, they'd have more noise than what they have now.
True, yeah.
How do you go about handling a noise complaint, or who's responsible for handling the noise complaints at Selfridge?
We usually, if you call the Public Affairs Office, they'll refer you to whichever squadron or whoever. If we can figure out who was involved, and we'll do an investigation and find out why the noise complaint occurred. If it's in the area of Selfridge, then we want to be a good neighbor, and we need to do that. Again, we need to do what's best for our community, surrounding community. And we'd very much like to be a good neighbor. So we're going to find out why the noise complaint occurred and try to do something about it. Sometimes, if it's the local traffic pattern or normal operating things, there's not a lot we can do about it. We can try to minimize the effects of the noise. The base has been there since 1917, so most of our neighbors understand and expect fully that If you're going to live beside an airport, you're going to hear jet engines. We try to be responsive. One of the easiest things for us to do is, quite frequently, we'll get complaints when we change some operating characteristic. We'll fly a different ground track or a different pattern, or a new kind of airplane, different airplane. And frequently, if we can get the people who are concerned out and show them how and why we go about our business, that helps them understand a lot, and usually that really takes care of it. Occasionally, we'll go through the sound barrier to the north of the base somewhere and cause a bang, and that we address. That's a problem with the training environment. It's a very, very fast airplane, and sometimes that happens. We try to minimize that as best we can. It's pretty rare now that somebody will get supersonic and we'll get complaints about that. Again, we're going to minimize that through the way we train.
I know you have an area called the military operating area, which you perform your exercises.
Yes.
Where that's located up north in the thumb?
It's essentially the thumb area of Michigan, if you will. It goes from 4,000 feet above the ground up to 50,000 feet. And basically the entire thumb area, although Bad Axe is in the center of that area. So the good folks up there have been really great about our occasional faux pas up in the airspace. Of course, the other place that the 127th trains is they spend a lot of time at Grayling Range dropping practice bombs. And again, the community there has been really great about it all. They understand that we have a mission to do, and that we'll try to minimize our impact on their environment, as we should.
Okay, I know the base and the 191st and the 127th are all involved in some community services for kids and such. Can you elaborate on that?
There's several things that go on the base. Public service, community service, we're very involved in that. The two guard units at Selfridge make up almost 1,000 people. In addition to the 191st and the 127th Fighter Wing, there's the 927th Air Refueling Wing, the Navy VP, the P3 unit, who's unfortunately soon to leave. We have every branch of the military service out there. A lot of people, a lot of money goes into the local community, and there's a lot of great programs that sometimes we don't tell the public about enough. One of them's a program called Starbase. Starbase was initiated to try to rejuvenate today's youth in math and science. We bring out kids largely from downtown area for 1 week at a time, and we introduce them to math and science and technology, space, all those sorts of things, and try to get their interest up in science. That's been a wonderful program. That's gone from, in roughly 5 years, one small chapter at Selfridge trying to do what they could do, to where now they fully expect it'll be in all 50 states within the next couple of years. It's spreading like wildfire.
That's great. It's
a very, very viable program, and it's showing some great results. Another that came up at Selfridge is called Young Heroes. I don't know the story exactly, but a young girl who had a terminal disease watched a military presentation on television, and a man was getting a medal for bravery. And this gal had been told, because of her terminal disease, how brave she was, and in fighting the battle she had been fighting. And she heard that and likened his situation to her situation and said, "Geez, Mom, why don't I get a medal?" Well, now they do. We go find kids like that who are terminally ill. It's one of the most moving things I've ever been through. And we give each of them their own medal. It's quite a program. It's a very, very worthwhile project, and a lot of fun to take part in. There's obviously a lot done to raise money and those kinds of things to support that program, but that's really a lot of fun. The Freedom Academy takes place at Alpena every summer. That involves high school juniors and seniors, and they go up for a week, and basically that's a lot to do with our country and how it was formed and the principles it's built on. And again, the Freedom Academy kind of tells you what it's about. That's a very worthwhile project, of course. All of these things involve an awful lot of time, people giving of their time and so forth. Then, of course, we're involved in all the normal campaigns, for example, the combined federal campaign. The workforce donates very heavily to that, and we're very proud of that, and very fortunate to think we can take part in those kinds of things.
Excellent. I know every 2 years we have an air show at Selfridge, and this happens to be the summer.
Yes, the 11th and 12th of June this year. It's a little break from tradition in that we're going to have the Navy Blue Angels there. 2 years ago, the air show was voted, in fact, at Selfridge was voted the best in the United States, and we got quite a large trophy and a lot of recognition for that. So we're looking forward to another great air show. We expect hundreds of thousands of people, a lot of old aircraft, as well as all the new current technology. They're talking possibility of a B-2 this year. Of course, an F-117 stealth fighter, F-16s, of course, F-15, F-18. And we're looking for a lot of participation. It's going to be quite an air show this year. In the past, frequently we've had the air show during the week. This year it's on a weekend.
That's
so
great. More people can get off work that way and
you bet.
Come out and enjoy themselves.
You bet.
And that is the 11th and 12th of June. It's
yes.
a Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, great. One last thing. What does the future hold for the 191st and Selfridge Air National Guard Base?
We've discussed it. Selfridge, the 191st specifically, the mission change to the C-130 is a big change for us. The 127th is going from the A model of the F-16 to the C model, so there's conversions taking place there. The P-3s are leaving. However, there's a Naval Reserve facility coming from Dearborn that is going to come out to the base. One of the new words in the Defense Department, one opportunity for us to spend our defense dollars more wisely is under the term jointness. You'll hear that comment now and then. And what that really means is a cooperative effort between all the services, the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, both the reserves and the active duty. They're all at Selfridge, and we're looking at ways that we can work together more efficiently and reduce duplication of efforts at Selfridge. As you know, there's base closures going on everywhere in the United States.
A couple right here in Michigan.
Of course, yeah. Selfridge is not immune from that eye, and we're going to do what we can do to make ourselves a very viable entity. We're the biggest Guard Reserve base right now in the United States. In fact, there's even talk of renaming Selfridge the Selfridge Reserve Base. I think the future's bright for Selfridge. If we can get all the organizations together and spend our money more wisely, we've become almost a model for other reserve bases. And that obviously is going to help keep us on the books and keep us doing a meaningful job and making sure that the taxpayers, you and I, are spending our money on things that really need to be done and that are worthwhile. So I think it's very bright. We're going through a lot of turmoil. The turmoil isn't going to stop, but we'll get through it and do fine.
Good deal. That's about all for today. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thanks, Tim.
And this has been AV-ATIAN Presents, and thanks for tuning in.